Get Out of Your Head by Jennie Allen. Introduction. There are moments in life that feel like they're straight out of a movie. The air gets thick, the sounds around you seem to fade, and you know, deep in your bones, that something is about to change forever. For author Jennie Allen, one of those moments happened in a crowded church lobby. She was a speaker at a large event, feeling the normal buzz of activity, when a woman she'd never met before, a woman with a kind-looking face, stepped directly into her path. The woman's expression suddenly darkened. Her warm smile vanished. And leaning in close, she whispered with a chilling urgency, "We are coming for you. You need to quit talking about us. We are coming for you." Jennie was stunned, confused. "Ma'am," she said, "I'm sorry. What are you talking about?" The woman's eyes never wavered. "You know exactly what I am talking about." And in that instant, a cold realization washed over Jennie. She took a step back, then another, and quickly found a security guard. But the strangeness was just beginning. A little while later, as Jennie was on stage giving her final talk, the power in the entire megachurch, a massive building with backup systems for its backup systems, suddenly went out. The lights, the sound, the giant screens, everything went black. And in the silence and the dark, they all heard it. A blood-curdling shriek coming from the hallway. It was the woman from the lobby. The pastor would later tell Jennie that in all his years, the power had never, ever gone out like that. This single, bizarre encounter would become the first tremor of an earthquake that would shake Jennie Allen's life to its very foundation. It was the start of an 18-month, all-out war fought not in a church lobby, but in the silent, terrifying spaces inside her own mind. Today, we're diving into her story and the powerful lessons she brought back from that war, all captured in her best-selling book, Get Out of Your Head, Stopping the Spiral of Toxic Thoughts. This isn't just a book about thinking positive. It's a field manual for the greatest battle of our generation, the battle for our minds. By the end of our time together, you will understand the simple, powerful secret to interrupting the toxic spirals that hold us captive. You'll discover that you are not a victim of your thoughts, but a warrior equipped with everything you need to win. Book summary. Have you ever felt like your own mind is a battlefield, where one negative thought appears, then another, and before you know it, you're caught in a downward spiral, spinning faster and faster into anxiety, discouragement, or fear? Jennie Allen calls this the spiral of toxic thoughts. It's a cycle that so many of us know intimately. It starts with an emotion, maybe a feeling of sadness or insecurity. That emotion leads to a thought, "I'm not good enough." That thought dictates a decision, maybe to withdraw from friends or stop trying something new. That decision leads to a behavior, staying home, scrolling on your phone. And that behavior affects your relationships, which can leave you feeling even more isolated and sad, starting the spiral all over again. It feels completely out of control. We think we're just victims of this internal chaos. And the science backs up how intense this is. The average person has over 30,000 thoughts a day. And research suggests that for many of us, a staggering 75 to 98% of mental and physical illness comes directly from our thought life. So, the battle is real. But where does it come from? According to Jennie's friend, a licensed therapist, when we choose to believe a lie about ourselves, it almost always boils down to one of three core lies. I'm helpless. I'm worthless. I'm unlovable. Think about it. Every insecurity, every fear, every anxious thought you've ever had can probably be traced back to one of these three fundamental untruths. These lies don't just shape how we see ourselves, they shape how we see the world, and most importantly, how we see God. They become the dark lens through which we view our entire existence. And for Jennie Allen, these lies were about to launch an all-out assault. After that strange encounter at the church, you might think she would have been terrified. But at first, the opposite happened. The reality of a spiritual battle made her faith feel more real than ever. She felt wild with faith. But the enemy, as she says, is subtle. The attack didn't come in a sudden explosion. It came in a slow, quiet poison that dripped into her mind, night after night. It started with waking up, every single night, at 3 a.m. At first, it was small worries, laundry, a concern about one of her kids. But soon, the thoughts grew darker, bigger. A terrifying question began to haunt the silence of her bedroom. Is God even real? For a woman who had dedicated her entire life to her faith, this thought was a dagger to the heart. If God wasn't real, she was wasting her life. Night after night, the spiral spun faster. She felt her faith, the very core of who she was, eroding from the inside out. She compares it to a quote from the Bible teacher Beth Moore, who says there are 3 kinds of pits we fall into: the kind we jump into, the kind we slip into, and the kind we're thrown into. Jennie knew, without a doubt, she had been thrown into this one. The darkness of the night began to seep into her days. She tried to function, to lean on decades of her story with God, but the passion was gone. Doubt steals hope. And without hope, life begins to feel meaningless. Her mind began to build a case against God. She thought of all the hard things she'd walked through: a friend's devastating stroke, her sister's marriage falling apart, the immense stress of launching a new organization. Was her confidence in God's goodness a foolish mistake all along? The turning point came during a family trip to the movies to see Avengers: Infinity War. If you've seen it, you know that heartbreaking ending where beloved heroes turn to ash and simply blow away, as if they never existed. As if their lives meant nothing. Sitting in that dark theater, a profound terror gripped her. That's me, she thought. That's my destiny. To just vanish. To be nothing. The spiral hit bottom. For 18 straight months, more than 500 days, this was her reality. She was lost in the dark, believing she was helpless, worthless, and unlovable. Until a single moment, halfway across the world, changed everything. Jennie was on a trip to Uganda with 2 of her dearest friends, Esther and Anne. She was emotionally exhausted, weary from pretending she was okay when nothing was okay. After breaking down in front of them, she finally told them everything. The woman at the church. The threat: "We're coming for you." The 500 sleepless nights. The gnawing doubt. The terrifying fear that she had lost her faith completely. As she finished, her friend Anne looked her straight in the eyes with an unwavering intensity. "No," Anne said. "I know you. I know your faith. Jennie, this is the enemy. This isn't who you are." Those simple words, "This isn't who you are," pierced through the chaos like a ray of light. Because deep down, Jennie knew it was true. This dark, doubting, fearful person wasn't her. She loved God. She was a believer. And in that moment, she realized she had an enemy, and she had let him beat her up for far too long. But God wasn't finished. The catalyst for her breakdown earlier that day was something truly miraculous. During those long, dark nights back home, the only thing that had kept her tethered to hope was reciting a passage from the Bible she had memorized years ago, Psalm 139. Over and over, she would whisper the words into the darkness: "Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." She was banking her entire life on those words being true, that there is nowhere you can go to escape the presence of God. Earlier that day in Uganda, her group had sat down for a meeting with local officials, who asked if they'd join them for their morning devotionals first. A man opened his Bible and began to read. his thick accent rolling over the words. "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You discern my thoughts from afar." Jennie's heart stopped. He's reading Psalm 139. He continued, "Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? Even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me." Tears streamed down her face. Here, halfway around the world, in a tiny village she had traveled a full day to reach, a man who didn't even speak her native language was reading the very words, the only words, that had been holding her fragile faith together. How could this God not be real? Anne's words on the bus were the final key that unlocked the chains. "This isn't who you are." It was as if scales fell from her eyes. She saw the truth again. Alone in the dark, the devil can tell you whatever he wants. But she wasn't alone anymore. She was in a fight, and in Christ, she had the authority and the power to win. This is where the entire message of the book pivots. It's the great discovery that has the power to change everything for you, just as it did for her. The tragedy, she realized, wasn't just the spiral itself. The tragedy was that she didn't have to be spinning for 18 months. Or 18 minutes. Or even 18 seconds. There is a way to interrupt the spiral. The singular, powerful, interrupting thought is this: I have a choice. That's it. That's the secret. If you have trusted in Jesus, you have the power of God in you to choose. You are no longer a slave to your thoughts, your emotions, or your circumstances. You have a God-given, God-empowered ability to choose what you think about. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's rooted in both Scripture and science. The Bible tells us to take every thought captive and to be transformed by the renewal of your mind, and modern neuroscience confirms this is possible. Our brains are not fixed, they are constantly changing. This is called neuroplasticity. Drive. Dan Siegel, a professor of psychiatry, puts it this way: where attention goes, neural firing flows and neural connection grows. What you choose to focus on physically rewires your brain. You are not a victim of your mind. You are its architect. The problem is, most of us don't realize we're in a battle, let alone that we have weapons to fight it. We've bought the lie that we are helpless. But Jennie Allen is here to tell you that you are a warrior, and it's time to learn how to fight. Her book lays out a kind of basic training for your mind. It identifies 7 key enemies that create our toxic spirals and gives us 7 powerful choices, our weapons, to defeat them. The first enemy is distraction and noise. We live in a world that is constantly screaming for our attention. Social media, news, music, endless to-do lists. We use busyness to escape the silence because, in the quiet, we might have to face ourselves, and we might have to face God. The lie we believe is, I'll feel better if I stay distracted. The weapon against this is the choice. I choose to be still with God. In the stillness, we reconnect with our power source. It's where the spiral stops, which is precisely why, as Jennie says, all hell is against us meeting with Jesus. But science shows that even a few minutes of quiet meditation can physically alter your brain, decreasing anxiety and depression. The second enemy is shame and isolation. This is the enemy that whispers the most devastating lie. If people really knew you, they'd leave you. Shame drives us to hide, to build walls, to believe we have to solve our own problems. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where our isolation convinces us that we truly are alone and unlovable. The weapon is the choice. I choose to be known. We were built for community. Our brains are literally hardwired to connect with others through things like mirror neurons, which help us feel empathy. Jennie shares a powerful concept from her church: say the last 2%. It's that one secret you hold back, the one thing you think would make everyone run away. She tells the story of a friend who confessed an emotional attraction to a coworker. The moment she said it out loud to a trusted friend, the attraction lost its power over her. In the light, darkness cannot survive. The third enemy is fear and anxiety. This is the land of what if? What if I fail? What if they leave me? What if the worst happens? Anxiety, Jennie explains, is when our brain's fear network gets stuck in the on position, trapping us in worries about a future that may never happen. The weapon is the choice. I choose to surrender my fears to God. We fight what if with because God clothes the lilies and feeds the birds, we don't need to be anxious about tomorrow. The Bible tells us to think about whatever is true. And the truth is, most of what we worry about never happens. We must interrupt the unreal fears with the reality of a God who is in control. The fourth enemy is cynicism. This is the belief that people aren't trustworthy and that life will not work out. It's a defense mechanism driven by past hurts. We put up a wall of sarcasm and pessimism to protect ourselves from disappointment. But in doing so, we rob ourselves of joy. The weapon is the choice. I choose to delight in God. The antidote to cynicism is awe. When we allow ourselves to be interrupted by beauty, a stunning sunset, a beautiful piece of music, the kindness of a stranger, it pulls us out of our self-focus. It reminds us of a Creator who is good and trustworthy. Cynicism and true worship cannot coexist in the same heart. The fifth enemy is pride and self-importance. Our culture screams at us to be great, to build our brand, to promote ourselves. The lie is, the more self-esteem I have, the better life will be. We become the center of our own universe, constantly justifying ourselves and blaming others. The weapon is the choice. I choose to serve God and others. True joy, the book argues, isn't found in being awesome, it's found in forgetting ourselves. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It's the profound freedom of realizing your only hope is Jesus, and you can finally stop striving to be your own savior. The sixth enemy is victimhood. This is the mindset that says, I am at the mercy of my circumstances. We fixate on the unfairness of life, we complain, and we place blame. This keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-pity and unhappiness. The weapon is the choice. I choose to be grateful. Jennie tells the story of her friend Brooke, who hated her retail job until she started using her commute to pray and thank God. Her perspective shifted entirely. She began to see her job not as a burden, but as an opportunity to love people. Gratitude is a superpower. Neuroscience shows that it releases dopamine in your brain, making you happier and healthier. A grateful brain actively looks for more things to be grateful for, creating an upward spiral of joy. Finally, the seventh enemy is complacency. This is the subtle whisper that says, I can do whatever I want. I deserve to check out, to numb myself. We drift toward comfort and away from purpose. We binge-watch shows, scroll endlessly, and wonder why we feel so empty. The weapon is the choice. I choose to seek the good of others. We were not built to live for ourselves. We were made to be active, purposeful participants in God's story. The Bible tells us to run with perseverance the race marked out for us. As we run, as we serve, we have to fix our eyes on Jesus, and in doing so, our own sins and distractions begin to fall away. Purpose is the antidote to passivity. These 7 choices are our training. And here is the most incredible part of all. Every single time you make one of these choices, you are doing more than just changing your mood. You are physically changing your brain. Jennie shares a mind-blowing scientific fact. Inside each of your 86 billion brain cells are tiny structures called microtubules. Think of them like a construction crew. With every thought you think, this crew gets to work, building a physical scaffolding to support that thought. And guess how long it takes for a single thought to create a brand new physical structure in your brain? 10 minutes. From the moment you choose a new thought, a thought of gratitude instead of victimhood, a thought of surrender instead of fear, to the moment that thought has physically, scientifically, indisputably changed your brain, only 10 minutes have passed. If you have spent a lifetime building roads of negative thinking, you are only 10 minutes away from starting a new path. This is the power you've been given. This is the hope that the book offers. You train your mind, day by day, choice by choice. You build new pathways. And when the storms of life hit, when the pressure is on, you will do what the astronaut Shane Kimbrough told Jennie he did when his mission in space was unexpectedly extended by 2 months, leaving him stranded far from his family. When she asked him how he coped, he said 4 simple words. I trusted my training. This is our training. So that in the moments of crisis, we can trust it. We can get out of our heads and into the life we were made to live. The journey culminates in a powerful scene from Baylor University, where Jennie challenged a field full of students to bring their secret struggles into the light. One by one, they stood up, shouting out their deepest pains, dishonesty, pornography, suicide, and then declaring, in one unified voice, it no longer has power over me. It no longer has power over this campus. That is what it looks like to get out of your head. It's to realize that your identity is not your struggle. You are a child of God. You are light. And you are here to set others free. It's just like Peter in the Bible, stepping out of the boat into the storm. As long as his eyes were fixed on Jesus, he could walk on water. The moment he looked at the wind and the waves, the circumstances, the fears, he began to sink. Winning the battle for your mind is about one thing: where you fix your gaze. The enemy wants you to focus on anything but Jesus. Because when you get single-minded, when your thoughts are consumed with him, you become dangerous. You start to walk on water. Commentary. So, what do we take away from this powerful journey? For me, the most profound lesson in Get Out of Your Head is the fusion of radical responsibility and profound grace. The message isn't try harder, it's train smarter. It gives us the dignity of choice, reminding us that we are active participants in our own mental and spiritual health, not passive victims. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, especially when you're young and navigating the pressures of school, friendships, and figuring out who you are, this book is a lifeline. It provides a practical, actionable roadmap for managing the internal noise. The idea that you can physically change your brain in just 10 minutes is not just a cool scientific fact, it's a declaration of hope. It means that no matter how deep the grooves of negative thinking are, a new path is always, immediately, available. You are never truly stuck. The book brilliantly reframes the spiritual life not as a set of rules to follow, but as a battle to be won. And winning isn't about achieving perfection. It's about choosing your focus. It's about knowing that when you stumble, like Peter on the water, there is a hand reaching out to save you, saying, "Why did you doubt?" If there are a few things you can do today to start applying these principles, let them be these. First, just practice the interruption. For the next week, simply notice when you're spiraling. When you feel that familiar tug of anxiety or self-criticism, just pause and say to yourself, I have a choice. You don't have to fix it right away. Just acknowledging that you have a choice is the first, most powerful step. Second, pick one new thought. Choose one of the 7 I choose statements that resonates with you most. Maybe it's I choose to be grateful. For the rest of today, actively look for just 3 things to be grateful for. A sunny day. A good conversation. A favorite song. Write them down. Notice how this small act of shifting your attention changes your internal weather. And third, take the first step out. Break the cycle of isolation. Send a text to a trusted friend or family member and share one small, safe struggle. Something like, "Hey, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with homework today." It doesn't have to be your deepest secret. Just practice the muscle of being known. That was a summary of Get Out of Your Head by Jennie Allen. We've explored the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary is like looking at a photograph of a feast. You can see what's on the table, but you can't taste it. The real transformation happens when you sit down and experience the meal for yourself. The book is filled with personal stories, biblical wisdom, and a profound sense of hope that can only be fully felt by reading it. If anything we've talked about has sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning new information, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you live inside your own head. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring life-changing ideas from the world's most brilliant minds, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss our next journey into another incredible book. Let's keep learning and growing together.